I awoke beside alien nurse. She giggled softly and said, "You held my hand." 1. Waking in strange light. The first thing I noticed was the light, soft, bluish, like dawn filtered through water. The second was the air, heavy with a sweet tang that reminded me of lilacs and antiseptic. And then I turned my head. Beside me sat someone, or something utterly alien. Her body was slender, limbs long and delicate, skin a soft lavender shade that shimmered faintly in the dim light. She wore a uniform of white and silver, and on her face stretched an expression that could only be described as a smile. "You're awake," she said, her voice melodic, almost like bells. I tried to sit up, only to feel 1,000 knives stab through my ribs. I gasped. She gently placed one of her 4 hands on my shoulder. "Do not move too quickly. You were badly injured." My memories flickered, flashes of fire, a ship breaking apart, the sharp bite of vacuum. Then darkness. "What happened?" I croaked. She tilted her head. "Your vessel was retrieved by our patrol. You were the only survivor. You have been in recovery for 6 rotations. 6 days." I blinked. My throat was dry as sand. "And you've been here the whole time?" She giggled, a sound like wind chimes. "You would not let go of my hand." 2. The nurse. Her name was Lyra, I learned later. She belonged to the Illyri, a species known across the coalition as healers and caretakers. I had heard of them, gentle, empathic, almost too kind for a galaxy that could be cruel. "I am your assigned caretaker," she explained. "Though, perhaps more truthfully, you assigned me." I frowned. "Assigned?" She laughed again, softer this time. "When you were first brought in, you were unconscious but agitated. The other nurses could not calm you. I held your hand, and you stopped struggling. Since then, whenever I left your side, your heartbeat rose dangerously." So, she lifted 2 shoulders in what must have been a shrug. I remained. I should have been embarrassed. Maybe I was. But in that moment, lying broken in a strange bed in a stranger's care, I only felt gratitude. 3. Strange comfort. Recovery was slow. My body had been shredded by shrapnel, patched together with Illyrian biotech that tingled beneath my skin. Every time I stirred, Lyra was there. She fed me a broth that glowed faintly. She adjusted the strange organic bandages that pulsed like they were alive. She even hummed when she thought I was asleep, a song without words, only melody. "Why?" I asked one evening, staring at her through the shifting blue light. "Why stay with me? Don't you have other patients?" Her smile was small but warm. "Because you would not let go." I chuckled, though it hurt. "Humans are clingy, huh?" Her eyes brightened. "Perhaps. But I do not mind." 4. The barrier of species. Weeks passed. I healed. We talked about Earth, about Illyria, about the vast differences between us. She could see in spectrums I could not imagine. She lived twice as long as a human lifespan. Her people had never known war. "You frighten the council, you humans," she said once, as she checked the regeneration of my ribs. "Yeah," I admitted. "We're good at that." "And yet," she said softly, "you are also gentle." I glanced at her, confused. She touched her chest with one hand, then reached another toward me. "Even when unconscious, you sought contact. As if reminding yourself you were not alone. That is not frightening. That is tender." My cheeks flushed hot. "Guess we're complicated." "Yes," she said, giggling again. "Very complicated." 5. The night of fear. Not everything in recovery was calm. One night, alarms blared through the ward. The ship shuddered. Voices cried out in Illyrian tongue, urgent and panicked. Lyra rushed to the door, her usually serene expression twisted with worry. "What's happening?" I asked, struggling to sit up. "Raiders," she said quickly. "Do not move. I will return." But as she turned to leave, instinct surged through me. Maybe it was foolish, maybe reckless, but the thought of her walking into danger without me was unbearable. I forced myself to stand, pain screaming through my body. When she saw, she froze. "You are still healing." "Then I'll heal later," I said, staggering forward. For a long moment, she stared at me. Then something softened in her gaze. She reached out, 2 hands steadying me, the other 2 gripping her medical satchel. "Very well," she whispered. "We will face it together." 6. Shared fear, shared strength. We did not fight, at least not in the way soldiers do. But when the raiders breached the ward, I found myself shielding her with my battered body, wielding nothing but a broken support rod. She, in turn, used her biotech tools like weapons, foam that hardened around limbs, bursts of sonic sound that disoriented attackers. In the chaos, we never let go of each other's hand. By the time security forces arrived, the raiders were fleeing. I collapsed, ribs screaming anew. Lyra knelt beside me, her hands frantic as they checked my injuries. "Foolish human," she whispered, tears shining in her wide eyes. "Always reckless, always breaking, always clinging." And yet, she did not let go. 7. Beyond patient and nurse. After that night, something changed. We were no longer just nurse and patient. We were companions who had faced terror side by side. Recovery sped up, though perhaps not just because of Illyrian medicine. We laughed more. We shared stories. Sometimes, in the quiet hours, she would rest her head against the edge of my bed, and I would pretend to still be asleep just to feel her close. One evening, as she adjusted my arm bandages, I asked softly, "What happens when I'm healed?" She hesitated. "You will return to your people. And you?" "I will remain here, as I always have." The silence that followed was heavier than any pain in my ribs. 8. The confession. On the day I was finally cleared for release, I stood by the airlock in a borrowed coalition uniform. My body was whole again, but my heart felt heavier than it ever had. Lyra approached, her 4 hands folded before her. "You are ready," she said. Her voice was calm, but her eyes betrayed her sorrow. I swallowed hard. "Lyra, when I woke up, you laughed. You told me I wouldn't let go of your hand." She smiled faintly. "Yes. I don't think I can let go now, either." Her eyes widened. For the first time, I saw her struggle for words. Then she giggled, soft, uncertain, but real. "Humans," she whispered. "So complicated." She reached out, for hands wrapping around mine. "Then do not let go." 9. Epilogue. I did not return to Earth. Not yet. Instead, I remained on the Illyrian vessel, officially as a liaison between our species. Unofficially, I stayed because of her. Every morning I awoke in that strange blue light, the scent of lilacs and antiseptic in the air. And beside me, always, was Lyra, nurse, healer, companion. Sometimes she still giggles when she reminds me, "You held my hand first." And every time, I squeeze her fingers tighter. Because I don't intend to ever let go.